Hello everyone, I'm just going to do a tool review on Harbor Freight tools and just give you an update on how some of this stuff's holding up, how I like it, so on and so forth. The first thing we have here is the 55 or 56, I don't remember, Icon toolbox. Had it for just about a year. Pretty solid. Compared to the US General, this is a significantly more substantial toolbox. Would I consider it on par with Snap-on or Mac or any of those? Probably not, but it's not far off of those marks. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being best, I would say Snap-on is probably a good solid 10, and if US General was probably a 3 or a 4 on that same scale, this is probably a 6.5 or a 7. It's been a good box. I used it professionally for about a year. I'll go over some of the little complaints that I have with it, but by and large, it's been a pretty damn good toolbox. I just wanted to show a couple of accessories I have with it. This is actually US General stuff. I've got this paper towel holder. I forget how much that was, like 15 bucks. You know, pretty nice for the money. And then down here I have the screwdriver slash can holder tray. These are both magnetic, pretty cheap, but you know, it makes for good use on a toolbox like this. I would highly recommend those two trays, or well, that tray and the paper towel holder. Pretty good stuff. One of the common complaints that I see on YouTube with these Icon toolboxes is the drawers don't open all the way. You got to pull them out, put some effort into it to pull them out. Now, you use them frequently enough, they do for the most part come all the way out. However, randomly at times they'll just stick, and you have to kind of tug them out a little bit, but they do open all the way, and the drawers are quite smooth. I don't know how much weight is in this upper drawer, but it's fairly substantial, and it holds the weight with no problem. The drawer behaves exactly as though it would, as if it were empty, or it had this much weight in it. So all in all, pretty solid, with the only drawback being, as others have pointed out, that the drawers sometimes need to be pulled out. Others have suggested that perhaps with time and use that would go away. That has not been my experience. The top drawer is, you know, pretty deep. As you can see, you can get sockets to stand upright with the holders and what have you. It's reinforced. As I said, it could probably take 5, 6, 10 times the weight I have in it right now. So anyway, the top drawer is pretty decent. When we move down a drawer to the second drawer, not quite as deep. It's I don't know, maybe 2.5 inches high. One of the things I did, as you can probably see in this video, is I cut PVC pipe and notched it with a miter saw to put my wrenches in it, just to cut down on the footprint of those. And those wrench holders would take up entirely too much space with the wrenches laid out that way. So that's why I opted to go with something like this. Anyway, this drawer is also reinforced and can handle a fair bit of weight. As you can see, this drawer came all the way out, no problem. But some of them, they'll give you a little trouble from time to time. The next drawer down, actually the next 3 drawers down are all small drawers. And in here I have drill bits, punches, extensions, what have you. The problem here is these are very shallow drawers. These toolboxes can't be ordered and configured like you could, say, a Snap-on or what have you. But all in all, they're fairly shallow. Hell, even the Icon wrench sets, for instance, that come with the wrench holders don't fit in these drawers. So there's that. You know, you just kind of, I suppose you can order a larger drawer to replace 2 of the smaller ones. I haven't actually looked into that, but I would assume that you could. But they are very shallow. But for my purposes, it works fine. And the next drawer down, I just have a hodgepodge of wire cutters and snap ring pliers and various things. They're not really organized like in a plier organizer, because again, the drawer is shallow and I just don't have enough space. But you know, this layout worked fine for me. But again, the shallow drawer could be an issue for some. Next drawer down is just screwdrivers. Screwdrivers, trim tool removal, that type of thing. I do have a set of the Icon screwdrivers there, and I'll be going over all the Harbor Freight stuff because I want to just kind of go over all the Harbor Freight stuff for anybody who may question the quality of this stuff, or just get some general feedback. But again, a very shallow drawer, and this is how I've chosen to use this drawer. Next drawer down is a little thicker, a few inches taller, and I've got some just some various air tools in there, couple, like a cut-off wheel, an electric cutter, that Dremel Sawzall. That works good in some cases. The cut-off wheel's better in other cases. Got a die grinder, a central pneumatic air ratchet, which I don't use a lot. I'm not a big air ratchet fan, but you know, it is what it is. You know, C-clamps, pry bars, that type of thing in this drawer. As you can see, this drawer is opening all the way as well, kind of making a little bit of a liar out of me, but they do stick from time to time. Next drawer down is just hammers, miscellaneous things, tape measures, what have you, punches, or pipe wrenches, that sort of thing. Fairly good sized drawer. You know, maybe you know, a better drawer for things like the wrenches, but you know, then this sort of stuff kind of becomes homeless at that point. And then the last larger drawer at the bottom, I've just got a mix of crap in here, tapes and fasteners and funnels and gloves and air tool oil and, you know, stuff like that. Just stuff that I really have no place else to put. This is a reinforced drawer. It can handle a lot of weight. And as you can see, this drawer has not opened all the way. In order to get it to open all the way, you've got to give it a good little tug to get it out, but it eventually gets there. That's kind of an example of what I was talking about. Then on this side, we've got a couple small drawers here. I've just got various 3/8 air fittings in the back, some Allen wrenches, and just miscellaneous stuff in this drawer. This also comes with the like laptop tray if you wanted to use that. I took that out. Don't use that very often. In fact, practically never. So, you know, I just took that out. It's sitting on a shelf somewhere. Next drawer down, basically the same size. Just cutting tools, markers, pens, pencils, some air pressure gauges, cigarette lighters, which I find in cars. That's a long story. You know, just little things. Not much fits in there. And then you've got your power drawer. You know, it's a nice drawer. You know, a lot of other people have covered this. I do find the power drawer to be very useful. I've got a USB, couple USB chargers in there, various different chargers. Got the Milwaukee charger in there. There's room for more. I just don't have a whole lot. It could be organized better, but there you go. And then the last drawer, which I like this drawer a fair bit. And again, as you can see, this doesn't pull out all the way without a little struggle. But I've got a Milwaukee 1/2-inch impact here. This is actually an Earthquake 1/2-inch air impact here. That's a good tool. And then the rest are, I've got a couple Milwaukee drills, a Milwaukee impact driver, and Earthquake 1/2-inch stubby impact gun, which, you know, is pretty good. It's good for tight spots and maybe on some suspension parts or what have you is where I mostly use those. Now, the point of this video is just kind of go over the Harbor Freight stuff and just discuss that in general. I might as well start in this drawer. This gun, you know, it's had a fair bit of use. It's held up fairly well. It's got the three settings. It's had, I've had good success with it. As far as the quality of the gun, it's fine. The only thing I would say about that is even running with a monster compressor at work and a 3/8 fitting, which now it has a 1/4-inch fitting on it. You know, its advertised power probably isn't as good as they claim. But all in all, that tool has been extremely useful. I'm going to skip over the Milwaukee stuff because, again, this is more about Harbor Freight. Then I have here the Earthquake XT. This is one of the newer ones with a different color. I have not used this a whole lot. I do use it from time to time. It has been a good gun when I have used it. I mostly use the Milwaukee cordless 1/2-inch for, you know, lug nut removals, what have you. But no complaints on that Earthquake gun at all. It's quite powerful when I need to take off something stuck. That's a good tool to use. Going back up here to the top drawer, again, I'll go over the Harbor Freight stuff. And there's a fair bit of it here. There's some Snap-on in here and various other things, but I'm just going to focus on the Harbor Freight stuff. Right here is these are the Icon 1/2-inch swivels. As you can see, I haven't used them a lot. I think I use like the 1814, 16, 17, that sort of thing. They've been actually really good for what little I've used them. It's hard for me to give a report as to whether or not those are going to stand up in the long run, but I have beat the hell out of it, particularly this 18 on some Chevrolet rear suspension parts, and that's held up really well. These are Astro 3/8 here and Astro 3/8 shallows here. The swivels, these are the swivels, these are the shallows. The Astro 3/8 are really good. They've been used more than a 1/2 inch, but no complaints there. And again, trying to stick more to the Harbor Freight stuff. Right here, you can see I have these Torx bits. These are 1/2 inch Torx and 1/2 inch hex bits, or no, I'm sorry, 3/8 hex bits. Those I have literally beaten the hell out of those with these almost always go on an impact driver, and they get hammered pretty good, and they've held up really well. No complaints. You know, no complaints to speak of. They actually work really well. As far as sockets go, I don't have a lot of Harbor Freight sockets. I've got kind of a mix of pretty much everything. But I do have these metric 1/4 inch shallow and deep, a metric 3/8 shallow and deep, and the Icon line in the chrome. Those I have used extensively, and if I'm being honest, most of the time it's on an impact driver, and they've held up very well. Really no complaints at all. I've not broken any, and they get hit pretty hard. So those have held up really nicely. I would recommend them. You know, there might be a little bit of wallowing from the impact gun, but all in all, they're still all perfectly useful, and that's after a year of just beating the hell out of those things. As far as the rest of this drawer, this is a Snap-on 1/2 inch locking flex head. This is just a 1/2 inch Pittsburgh torque wrench. It's actually held up very well. It's a click wrench. It's no complaints. This is a Performance Tool 3/8 torque wrench. This, one of the few Pittsburgh items I actually have. It's a Pittsburgh 1/2 inch flex head. This has been a really good ratchet. I use this a lot, and it's just smaller. It gets into tighter places than the Snap-on, which is a very long tool. But this one I use all the time. I like the flex head on it. It holds its position fairly well. You know, no complaints at all. This has been a good ratchet for very little money. Now I've got some old Craftsman and stuff here. This is the new Icon flex head, the one without the problem, and the number on this is R2LF. This, you know, I had never had one, and I saw that they had come out with a the newer one. I normally just use a Snap-on locking flex head here. That's been a very good ratchet. But this one I bought primarily because anytime I'm going to be working on something that could potentially spew fluid all over it, I opted to get this for that reason. And it's been so far so good. I have no problems. It hasn't had the issue that they talked about. No complaints. This thing has done quite well. And its length is nice. It gets you some extra leverage. The Snap-on here, like I said, is mostly my go-to. But whenever I'm dealing with potential fluid spills, I just use the Icon, and it's been really good. This Icon swivel head ratchet, it's a 3/8 drive, part number R2SW. This has been not used often. I've used it a few times. You know, no complaints. It's got a high tooth count. All in all, like I said, I don't want to say I've used it a lot because I haven't, but when I have used it, it's been a good ratchet. And then I have some additional Craftsman stuff here, and then this is a Snap-on 1/4 inch, which is my primary go-to, but I also have the Icon 1/4 inch swivel. And I have used this a fair bit. Part number R1SW. This has been a really nice ratchet. It does things that Snap-on can't do because of the swivel head, and I have found it to be very useful. It's a good tool. I would highly recommend it. Now, I do have a little Pittsburgh 1/4 inch that was not very good at all. Just not a fan of that Pittsburgh. But that Icon is actually really nice. Now, this next item, if you do not have this, I would highly recommend that you buy it. This is just a 1/2 inch Pittsburgh breaker bar. This was the best money I ever spent. I have beat the hell out of this thing. You can't really tell to look at it, but I've had this thing bowed like nobody's business, and she always comes back true and always gets the job done. This is the best 14 bucks I've ever spent. So I would highly recommend that to anyone. And that pretty much covers the Harbor Freight tools I think I have up here. The next drawer, I do have this Zurich, which is from Harbor Freight. This is just a scan tool, no complaints. It can do live data and various things, but you know, it is what it is. It's just a basic scan tool, and it gets the job done. And I've not had to update it, and it reads all the codes just fine that I've run across. And that's across a lot of different car manufacturers. So all in all, can't complain about the Zurich. These wire wheels, those are from Harbor Freight. They do have a tendency, I mean, they work like any other wire brush wheel would, but they do have a tendency to come apart a little easier than some of the other ones I've had. So, you know, as you're using it, say on a die grinder or what have you, those little wire brushes will come flying out, and you look at your arm when you're done doing whatever you're doing, and you'll have little spikes all in your arm from those brushes come flying out. As far as Harbor Freight tools up here, not a lot. I do have this Braun light here. This Braun light has actually been fairly good. The one complaint about it is the charging port blew on it. So I thought, well, you know what, I'll go buy another Braun, and I'll use that to charge the batteries, because you know, they just pop out, whatever. And I bought another one, and it just disintegrated when I bought it. However, the charging port still works here, you know, on this. So I take the batteries, I use this as a charger and that as the actual light. It's kind of silly, but it works. Those things are sketchy at best, but when you get one that works, they work very well. Now over here I have these Warrior bits. You can buy those at Harbor Freight for practically nothing. I don't even know what I paid for them, like, I don't know, maybe $4, I don't know. Anyway, I have 2 of them, and I have 2 of them for a reason. You know, these bits are not the best bits in the world, but they do get the job done. I've never had one strip anything out, but I have had them snap on me. And that's by using a hand driver as well as like an impact driver. They will snap fairly easily. That's why I always keep a second one on hand, you know, for $4.99. You know, you just have another one here, and when they break, you pitch them, and you know, when you run out of some, go buy another one for $4.99, and they work just fine. But they do have a tendency to break. Now, over here, as you can see, there's a lot of wrenches, but you know, one of the things that I do have from Harbor Freight here are the, let me find one, the Flex Head Icon ratcheting wrenches. These have been really good. You know, I like the Flex Head, good tooth count on the ratchet. All in all, not a bad buy, although these are quite expensive for what I consider to be a Harbor Freight tool. This WRF M19. This, I want to say I got maybe 8 through 19. I don't remember the exact sizes, but it was over, I think about $120 maybe for the whole set. But they've been good wrenches. I have no complaints with those at all. They get the job done. I've never broken one, never had a problem with the ratcheting mechanism. They've been really good. In here, one of the things, I don't have a lot here. Well, actually, I take that back. I probably do. There's a fair bit here from Harbor Freight. These step bits here, I think they're Warrior. I use the hell out of those things. They're wonderful. I've never really had any trouble with those at all. I've found them to work very well. I would highly recommend those, and they're dirt cheap. I mean, you can get a 3-pack of those for, I don't know, $3 or something. They're actually really, really good. I would recommend them. Now they do get a little dull, I guess. Maybe a little quicker than some other brands, but still, for $4, you're not going to beat those. Now, the Harbor Freight chisels here, I want to be perfectly honest, those are just completely junk. You know, they will chip on you. The steel is like, I don't know, it's very, very brittle. And you know, they are what they are. If you get them, they're not that expensive, but you know, you can grind them down, but after they chip up, but I wouldn't expect a whole lot from those. All these extensions over here, minus a few, I've got some 1/4 inch wobbles, actually 1/2 inch and 3/8 inch wobbles. Those are all Pittsburgh. They've been pretty good. Got some Pittsburgh Impact 3/8 and 1/2 inch. I think those 1/2 inch are Cobalts, but whatever. Anyway, all those Pittsburgh extensions have worked out really well. No complaints there. I would highly recommend those. In here, not a lot from Harbor Freight. The only thing I have, and I can't really report on them right now, are these Snap-on, or I'm sorry, my apologies. These are Icon snap ring pliers. Just bought them actually a couple weeks ago. I had to take a snap ring off a chainsaw, and it worked. It was fine. It worked as you'd expect, but I don't have any extensive use with the tool to say it's great or not. It did what it was supposed to do, and it felt fine doing it. But that's really the only thing I have in here, I believe, from Harbor Freight. Down a drawer. Here, as I pointed out, this is a hodgepodge of various stuff, mostly just screwdrivers and what have you. But the Icon screwdrivers, they've actually been pretty good. I'm trying to remember. I want to say they were maybe like $40 or something for the set. I have no complaints. You know, I don't have a lot of other. I have a lot of other brands actually of screwdrivers, but they're just one-offs. But like, you know, I do have this Snap-on here. I do find the grip on the Snap-on to be a little more pleasing to the hand than an Icon. It's more about the rubbers. Just the rubber isn't quite as abrasive, but nevertheless, those Icon screwdrivers have been pretty good. I really can't complain. You know, for $40–50, you know, that's one of those borderline things where maybe you want to spend another $40–50 and get, you know, a really good set. But I can't complain. I've really had no trouble with them. Now, these little picks, I'm sure anybody who's familiar with Harbor Freight has a set of these. You can get these for like 99 cents on sale. You know, I use the hell out of these things, and they're junky as hell. They'll bend on you and what have you. You know, but all in all, I mean, it's hard to beat these things. They are cheap, and I find incredible uses for them all the time. And actually, these are the original set. I thought I'd have to buy more, but you know, they bend, you straighten them, they work. You know, they're just small picks. They're not going to pull a radiator hose off or anything like that. But all in all, those are well worth the $3 you'll spend. In here, really the only two things I have from Harbor Freight, well, actually three. I have this cutoff wheel and this 3/8 air ratchet, and these Chief 3-inch cutting wheels to go on that central pneumatic tool. A lot of people complain about that central pneumatic cutoff tool. I'm not having a lot of trouble with it. It's done exactly what I need it to do. It works pretty well. You know, it's not as good as, say, you know, a Snap-on or a Mac or something like that, but all in all, it's been a good tool, and I use those Chief 3-inch cutting wheels here. I think they come in a 4-pack or something. They're pretty good. You know, nothing to complain about. Now, as far as that 3/8 central pneumatic air ratchet, actually, I found this in an old car years ago, and I am not a big fan of air ratchets in general. I mean, there are times, of course, when they are the only real good tool for the job, and that one works fine. I really can't complain when I decide to use it. Now, again, I'm not an air ratchet fan, not at all. I'd rather use an impact driver, but there are times you just can't get that thing in there. and there are times you don't want an impact driver pounding a nut on a little too hard. So, yeah, I mean, all in all, I don't know what they sell for. It's not very much, but you know, if you need one, I'd say, yeah, get it. What the hell? And then move down a drawer here. I have absolutely nothing from Harbor Freight in here that I'm aware of. So no point in talking about that. And then in the bottom drawer, there's nothing. So that being said, that's just a quick review on my Harbor Freight tool experience. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them down below, and I'll try to answer if I can. But you know, it is what it is. All in all, Harbor Freight, as far as I'm concerned, nothing to sneeze at.